happy Wednesday. So today I am making a bulb wreath for my 25 Days of Christmas project. I did one earlier and I'm going to kind of do a different game plan for this one. This is a small wreath that I either got at Dollar Tree or Dollar General. I can't remember. And so I figured if I used a small wreath ring, then it would take less bulbs. And so that was kind of my reasoning behind that. And I am doing the glass ornaments, the vintage ornaments, and I am gonna do pretty much all gold. I might, depending on how it turns out at the end and what I decide to embellish it, like I have I don't even know, 7 red bulbs that I might use. I've done a wreath like this before, but when I have done it before, I did it using a hanger. So I just took a wire hanger and untwisted the top of it, and then funneled through the hanger, the wire off of these bulbs. And so on this one, I'm going to use this, which the reason that I think it's annoying is because you can't just thread it onto the hanger like I could when I did it on the hanger, because then you can just untwist it and you can thread it down through. So I am actually going to use fishing wire or fishing line to attach my bulbs. Now, when I did the other wreath this morning, I started on the inside and I made my circle that way. Now, this time I am going to go on the outside and make my circle on the outside first. The reason being is because I feel like ultimately the success or failure of your wreath, the end result, the look of your wreath, is determined by if that outside ring actually looks like a circle or not. And if you start on the inside, at least for me, then my inside looked like a circle. And then when I filled in, I went to the middle and then to the outside, which was probably also my mistake. I should have done maybe middle and then outside and finished up with the middle last. So my outside is not quite as round or circular as I would want it to be. I will show you, it's in the other room. I meant to grab it, but I'll share a picture on my page, and when I put this video up on my blog, I will put a picture of the first one that I did up there. So, I mean, I made it look good, by adding different things and using different things as filler, but it would have gone a lot easier, I think, if I had done the outside. So what I'm doing is threading on the ornaments using the fishing line. And I basically cut a long chunk of fishing line so that I could thread multiple bulbs on instead of just doing one chunk of fishing line and one bulb and then having to do another chunk. I just did a long piece and then I tied it on to start, and then now I am tying it on to finish it up. Now, the thing with the wreath is some people will just use a styrofoam one. They only use the hot glue gun. But I don't really trust the hot glue gun. And we know that when these fall off, they're gonna shatter. And so I want a little bit of extra security, and that's why I'm tying them on. So when we get to other rows, I might glue those on. but I like to try and tie as many as I can. You can add a dollop of glue right here if you're worried about your knot coming undone. And for this one, I actually grabbed a glue gun that I purchased instead of got at the auction. And I like it because it has a trigger. Gives you a little bit more control. And also on all of these bulbs, and I learned this when I did the one on the hanger, learned it the hard way, is that you need to glue on the tops of your bulbs. So you can see that there's a dollop of glue there. So I pulled it up a little bit, I shot some glue in there, and then I put that cap back down. Because what happened to me when I did it on the hanger was once I had a bunch on and there was a little bit of tension on it, then all of my bulbs just started popping off the top part, and I didn't break them, but then I had to go back and try and glue them, and it was just a definite pain. So I did learn something from that experience. So I'm tying this first one on, and then I am just looping around a couple of the rings before I thread my next one. And I have basically a pile of, I would say 3 sizes of bulbs, and I am just using the larger ones here for the outside ring. And you have to pretty much leave the wreath on the table because you need a flat surface, because one, you could try and make the wreath all the way around, but there's really no need because half of it's going to be up against the wall, and it'll sit nicely on the wall if you make it so it starts out flat. So I can kind of see an issue already because I went over 2 rings on the wreath form instead of 1. So probably what I'm going to do is get these tied into place. My whole dining room probably has long strings and chunks of hot glue. I don't know what I did there. Somehow I got my fishing line twisted up. And let me tell you, it's been an interesting morning. I was working on a project, and if you watched me cook the peanut butter cookies last week, I think I mentioned how I tend to forget that I'm cooking, and I will overcook or bake something in the oven. So I was browning some hamburger for taco soup for dinner tonight, and I went off to do a project, work on the blog. And the next thing I know, I'm smelling smoke, and then I remember, oh yeah, I was browning hamburger. Oh boy. So the house still stinks, and I lost a couple pounds of hamburger because of that. And I still need to wash that pan. So I let it cool off, and then I dump it outside so that the dogs can eat it. And the little dog, Bella, obviously ate a couple pounds of hamburger because I come in later, and we try not to keep our bedroom door open because Bella, she thinks it's grass. I don't know. That's why I have no rugs in my house, because of the dog. We only have one room that has carpet. And I didn't keep the door shut, and I go in there, and she had literally thrown up in like 5 spots all of that hamburger that she had ate. My husband's gonna be so bad. So I was working on cleaning it up, and yeah, Not fun. Okay, so we have our outside ring. What I'm gonna do next is go around and basically glue the bulbs together. So this is where I think having this, it comes in handy. Hi Nelda, hi Carol. And so the problem with the hot glue gun though is that you got to have enough room to get the glue gun into place so that you can get the glue in the right spot. So I'm kind of lifting, turning, raising, and then laying it back down. And I started at a spot and I want to continue working around in one direction. And a lot of these are going to get covered up anyway, so it doesn't really matter if the glue is in the right spot or not. But when you're a perfectionist, it's really annoying when you've got a chunk of glue in a spot that you don't want a chunk of glue. So I feel like the hot glue holds up pretty good year after year in storage. Your biggest thing is going to be if you live somewhere like Iowa, where it gets really hot and really cold. If you store it somewhere like in your garage or a shed or something that doesn't have any temperature control, I do think the hot glue kind of from the heat and cold can cause it to unstick. So definitely before you take it out the next year, you would want to kind of check to see if anything is loose on it. So you can re-glue it before you pick it up and break it. Okay, so hopefully we can squeeze these two together. Bam. Okay, so the reason I started on the outside ring, if you're joining us late, versus the inside like I did when I did a practice run using this kind of wreath form, is so that we could have an outside circle. Now, it's not exactly the same because it looks like there's more space over here from the wreath form than over here, but I think we can still make that work and make it a circle. So next we're gonna just go and we're gonna do the inside ring, which I think before I got 4 bulbs on the inside. And if you are worried about the finished look, if you're selling it or taking it to a craft show or giving it as a present or something, you could take some colored cardstock or colored felt, or even just spray paint some cardboard and cut it in a ring shape and wrap it around the back to cover up all this craziness that we're doing. So I got to get the fishing wire under the ring, and then this first one I like to tie it on just so it kind of stays in the spot. That I want it to be in. You could also glue the holder, the silver part, onto the wire form as well. It's one of those things that I think after you do one, you learn kind of what works and what doesn't work for you, what you like, what you don't like, and then you just make adjustments. So even though I'm pretty much using the same supplies for both of the wreaths I'm making today, they're gonna look completely different. So I was trying to decide if I wanted to put that fifth one on or not, but I think that I do. So that's the nice thing about not gluing it down. The fishing line gives you a little bit of freedom, so you can decide where you want stuff. I don't know how I'm going to tie this though. We're just going to do the best we can, and then I might pick it up from the back and glue it. If I can grab the fishing line. So we want to be as even as we can to do our inside and outside ring. We can always come back in with filler and fill any gaps or holes, but the overall, like the shadow of it, we want it to be in a circle, if that makes sense. Okay, so same thing, we're gonna kind of come in here and try and glue these babies together to help us keep our ring, our circle. Okay, we're gonna have so many hot glue strings that we're just gonna try and pick them up when we get done, but. Okay, so now we have a few options. So I have different sizes. If I go with the big one, we're just gonna stick them and see what they look like. See one, if I have enough that I've hot glued the lids on. Got one left. Okay, so that's not bad. I want to just see what the little ones look like. The little ones might not be big enough. My little ones seem to be a little bit lighter gold. They've had a little bit more wear and tear, I would say. So there's like natural holes between the bulbs, and the bulbs are wanting to sink into those. So then the decision is how you fill it in after that. Okay, I think I can shift that a little bit. Not too much though. I think I might actually like the bigger ones in there. They seem to fit and be spaced better. So I'm gonna set those in here again. Because this is when I would stop doing the fishing line and I would just glue them in. So last time when I laid it out, I only used this amount of bulbs. Okay, I think we're gonna wing it because I think no matter what I do, it's going to be different. Okay, so we're going to start. I need some more glue. I'm gonna kind of go every other one, or attempt to. Because what we really could do is then fill in with some smaller ones to change up the size. And like I said, this one is looking completely different than the one I did this morning. You can see it kind of, that inner ring is kind of moving depending on when I'm pushing. So I'm trying to make sure it's even. Okay, also, whenever you're working on things like this, another thing to remember is to kind of pick which side or what spot is your top. And take that into consideration as you're filling in. Okay, so I think I'm going to do the, these are really probably a medium size. Do a medium size here. In between the bigger ones. I'm just trying to make sure that that topper is not hitting on the bottom, that it's actually like dropping into the opening. Sometimes it feels like it's hitting. Okay. I think we got all of those in. Now I need to pick which side's going to be my top. Not that one. Decisions. So next in, you can do your embellishments. So kind of like when on the last one I had so many more gaps in between the bulbs, and so I really had to fill in with embellishments. So when you're coming up with your embellishments, like when we did yesterday, we had all of those like miniatures. You can work in all of the miniatures into your bulb wreath and come up with fun ways to put all those things in. I mean, just like that glitter deer, the little hats that I had, you could put those in here. The little snowman that I had, you could even do like the greenery pieces that I had, you could tuck those in different places. You could go all the way around it. I actually kind of like that. You could go all the way around it with different greenery, just sticking in all of those spots. Any little stuff that you have, you could work that in, because you could do like a little bow here or bundle just here down at the bottom. I actually have a ribbon or a bow that you could put down here at the bottom as well. And even though this is green and red and this is gold, you can tie them together by the little decorative things that you put on here. So if I was going to go with this green, I could use like Mardi Gras beads and work that in all the way around the bulbs to give it, to make it seem like it relates. So you can do things with the Mardi Gras beads and work those in so that you don't have gaps and holes in different places, and you would just glue that into place. I took this like newer garland that I had used for some projects, and I actually worked it in to the gold wreath that I did this morning. You can also take the like tinsel garland. I'm thinking the more puffy stuff. All I could find in our house was black that the kids had for Halloween. But you can take this stuff and you work it in to all of your cracks, and that's going to give you a different look as well. So you have tons of options on how you can finish it off and kind of personalize it and make it look like yours. So I actually kind of think I like the greenery. The other thing that I did, if you don't have any little bitty bulbs, I have these jingle bells. And so like I worked them into the gaps on the wreath and glued those into place as well. So I wish I had that one that I did over here so you could see what it looked like. So I'm just tearing apart my picks here. And you can glue these into place pretty easily so you can get them how you want them. So if it's a big gap, you would just glue it closer to the edge. And those are all that I grabbed. That looks pretty good. So then I would just go through and I would hot glue those in together, or in, and then it would be done. So then on the back, because it's looking kind of crazy, you could cover this up to make it look finished, and then you could also take even one of the hooks from the ornaments, and you can hook it on here, hot glue it into place so it's not sliding around, and then you could use this to hook as well. And if you don't cover this up with like felt or something, your nail can always sit on the wreath ring also. So be looking for this to get up on the blog, and then you can see the end result of the one that I did this morning. And then also I'll be on here tomorrow with the 25-day of Christmas project, and the shop is open this weekend for the last time at the little church. So 802 North Haynes in Centerville. This will be the last weekend it's open. So Thursday through Sunday, you can come visit me at the shop. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.